Now you can feel my pain. Now I can actually share the pain with the rest of the world, how much it took me to get it done. Well, let's start with the vocals, I guess.
I was chasing shadows.
Beautiful vocals from Schindel. Super talented girl, incredible songwriter, incredible singer. I was talking to her on the phone last week, just praising her talent. She's awesome. And I really, really hope we're gonna write a little bit more later this year. So,
I was chasing shadows in the dark, walking with my head down, went too far. I was on the wrong.
In terms of the processing, I'm pretty sure that was printed from this layer, and it doesn't have that much processing, honestly, because we did a bunch of the processing when we were tracking the vocals, but basically it goes into the stressor by UAD, and then it goes into this bus. So we have tip tech, we have a little bit of EQ, incredible plugin Relay by Analog Obsession. I told you guys about it. You definitely should check out his Patreon. Bunch of the synths. Let's go one by one. That's how it sounds without anything.
I was chasing shadows in the dark. I was chasing shadows in the dark, walking with my head.
Doesn't really do that much. It's just hidden like about 3 dBs just to get out some like nasty picks.
I was chasing shadows in the dark,
then
walking with my head down, went too far. EQ. I was on the wrong side from the start.
Real Life is an interesting one. It's basically taking out some of the muddiness in a track, like it's like this very nasty mid frequencies, but also if you gain a little bit of a input and turn on life a little bit, it gives you extra harmonics. I mean, it can be, you can go really bizarre with it.
I was chasing shadows in the dark, walking with my head down, went too far. I was on the wrong side from the start.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty awesome plugin, but when I was using it on vocals, I didn't really want to. Okay, then we go into the effect rack. Basically, delays getting the signal from acapella, and it's totally web, but also I have a track spacer here that basically just bring down all of the delay signal while the dry acapella is playing.
I was chasing shadows in the dark, walking with my head.
We have a Pro DS.
I was chasing shadows.
This is basically de-esser.
In the dark.
And we have a little bit of an EQ, but this is basically surgical EQ. And then we have those little cool things. I'm obsessed with those. This little just pitched up. Yeah, it's just pitched up by 12 semitones. It just basically answers. I was trying to, I guess what I was trying to do with it is just to make, the extension of the hook without making it too obvious, but just like making it like in a little bit cooler way. So together with the vocals from here.
Where have you been?
In terms of the processing, obviously we have like full wet on delay, a bit of a reverb that is, yeah, that's just for the build up for the second. Without anything. That's basically how it sounds. And now putting everything back together. We're getting this little nice vocal cut. Yeah, delay reverb, a lot of OTT actually for this one. Then we go into the kickstart, just to kind of, dim it down for the drop, so it's not that in your face kind of situation. Then pretty aggressive cut on the lows because the delay was given a lot of it. So I just, well, delay and OTT together and the reverb. So I want to get rid of that. And it's going last thing, but not least. It's a saturator. Driving is like up to 7.5 dBs, and I'm turning down most of it. It was like I'm taking out minus 6.5 on the output, but just to give that vocal cut a little bit of a saturation. We have another job like that, and another one. So I think that's it with the vocals. There's nothing crazy about the automation or crazy sense or anything like that. It's just very nice vocals. I didn't have to do that much with it. Okay, then we're moving into the bass group. Well, we have Serum. That's very deep sub bass. Here's the bass without all the processing. So first we have CLA 76 by Waves. Yeah, it hits about 4 dBs on a compression, which is not too bad. Then it goes into OTT. Just gets a little bit of more of a body. Not even the body, it's more of like getting the right tone out of this bass. Then it goes into warm-up lows, which is the Ableton stock saturator. It's just the name of the preset. Yeah, then it goes into meld the wave shaper, just to get a little bit more of a attack. And kickstart. And it goes into overdrive right after the kickstart. Then we move into next part. Yeah, this is Nexus actually. Again, very subtle compression, kickstart, and I'm just getting taking out some lows. So okay, and the last thing, we have Silent One here. It's just a saw bass. Let's take everything out. Yeah, that's how it sounds with anything, without anything. And then we have OTT, again, the same settings as the sub bass have. More saturation, the same thing as the sub bass have. So everything together sounds like that. It's like on its own, it doesn't sound that great to me, but in the mix, it's a different story. We also have the what goes in a bass bus. That's without anything on the bass bus. But then the first thing that we have here is the track spacer. The bass still goes through the kick, but it actually helps. It helps the kick shine a little bit more. Like, it's super mild, but it gives a bit of a room for kick to breathe. So I think that was very important for me to do. Okay, next thing is a saturator. Most important thing here is not even the saturation process itself. It's more of a make an entire bass as like mono, anything below 200 hertz. Then it goes into UAD API, and it works like 100% mix. It's just gluing everything together, just making sure that it's not all over, not all over the place. Real life. Yeah, it's boosting a little bit of lows and highs and getting rid of some of the mids, like muddy mids. And last, everything goes into Saturn. Just again, glue everything together, gives a little bit of a saturation, doesn't do anything crazy. Okay, went through the bass. Now we're going into the synth bass. Looking at this MIDI, it just gives me anxiety. I remember I think like it took me about 4 to 6 hours to get this melody right. Like that was it was a process for sure. I printed Obsession plugin because I did have this plugin when I was working out of Windows, but then I just didn't get it for some reason, and I just did a bounce for myself. Basically, that's what it does. Just the atmosphere, nothing crazy. A bit of an EQ, automation EQ, closing down and open up some lows. Then it goes into the auto pan for the drop. Yeah, just fourth rate, just to give it some movement in the drop so it doesn't feel too plain. Then it goes into the kickstart. Then just some automation on the, I think it was, yeah, just like some automation on the gain. Just make sure there's like some breathe-in space here in the second break. And now, that mighty sound. What was that, by the way? Funny enough, it's not the same sound. It's like literally, it's not the same sound from Team, but it sounds very, very, very close to it. Okay, well, let's break down the melody first, because I think that's one of the most exciting parts. If you want to see the MIDI and feel my pain, what I was going through when I did this track, there you go. Now you can feel my pain. Now I can actually share the pain with the rest of the world, how much it took me to get it done. It's like how much time it actually took me, because if you see like all of the muted notes, that's probably 10% of the muted notes that I had in here, because it was going through like many iterations. And it's like, guys, it's like, I'm gonna be honest, like I've never struggled so much to get like the melody right, because I clearly, like, I was hearing how it's supposed to be in my head, but it's just like, it took me so much time to like get it right. Well, let's go through the processing really quickly. This is how it sounds dry. Then it goes into OTT, overdrive, then a glue compressor. Then it goes into Redux. That's the cool part. It just gives this a little bit crush distortion on a very, very high end. It's like, it's very noticeable, but it actually is like, gives like this synth, like not a second life, but it's definitely a little bit more alive than it had before. Then it goes into Byte. So basically it's doing the same thing, but just with native instruments. Byte, I decided to try it out because I had it for a while and never used it, so I just give it a try. And also it's also kind of like working as an EQ in some sense, because it's like it does cutting out most of the lows. I'm more kind of shifting focus towards where the body of the of the chords are. Then it goes into EQ, which is automated. I didn't want to get rid of the low frequencies and breakdown because I like the way it sounds. I love the way how it sounds with low frequencies in a breakdown, and it doesn't really interfere the bass that much because the bass in a breakdown just kind of is working towards the support function. But I really wanted to give some room for the bass and for the kick into the drop, and that's the reason why there's automation in the EQ. Well, a kickstart, and I have a clipper here. Yeah, that's that for the plug. Then we'll go. This is gonna be Nexus, I'm pretty sure. I mean, dance to K7, baby. It's like I really try to avoid dance to K7 for this track, but it just felt good. It's always feeling good, and don't break something that works. Dance to K7. Alive and prospering. There we go. I mean, his melody sounds pretty good with this piano, though. You cannot not admit it. In terms of the processing, just the compressor kickstarted, and I don't know the reason why I was doing the EQ after the kickstart. This is weird, very strange. Like usually I would definitely apply EQ before any sort of sidechain, but it does the trick. But what this EQ does, we're basically cutting down a bunch of the lows, which we don't need, and then there's a huge deep around like 500 hertz, because that's where most of the mod is coming from, this specific sound. Like I didn't want to have it, like I didn't want to have that in the mix. Yeah, but then a little boost, like 3 dBs of the, you know, high mids, and massive boost on the highs actually, just to emphasize the sharpness of the, you know, like the high range of what this instrument is playing. Yeah, and just stock effects from TK7. Yeah, I mean, it's not stock because the mix is definitely like I bring down the mix on delay and the reverb because I didn't want to have them as like, maybe actually, I'm not sure, but it definitely feels like it's not the stock settings. But the only change would be playing with the mix knobs on the delay and reverb, and probably with like decay as well, and decay and feedback, decay and reverb and feedback on delay. And yeah, that's it, just the stock thing. Then we go into another layer of chords. Simple plug goes into ODD, then there is a kickstart, and there is an overdrive right after the kickstart to like put the sound kind of in your face, cutting down some low frequencies and just glue whatever, you know, whatever left of it. Yeah, it's actually it's a pretty heavy compression, especially with like going from OTT into rest of the stuff, but it does the job. So another level layer of serum. Yeah. Again, the same thing. OTT, kickstart, overdrive. I think that was the trick for like most of the record. I just decided like, you know, why the hell not? Same process, ODD, OTT, Saturator, kickstart, overdrive, glue compressor. I think the glue compressor was definitely needed here. That's without anything, and that's with everything, with all the plugins in the chain. Another layer of chords. This is more in your face chords. That's definitely, those chords makes, like this layer makes a difference. Again, same thing. OTT goes into the glue compressor, a bit of a kickstart, overdrive, and the clipper in this particular channel, because it's like I didn't really want to compress it too much. Like I wanted two picks to go through, but also at the same time I didn't want those picks to kind of like, you know, overtake the mix entirely. Yeah. Okay, a little bit more layers. Same thing, super simple. It's just OTT mix, like it drags everything out of the synth, like all the reverb and delay, and that's exactly what I needed for this specific track. More layers coming your way. Oh, this one is aggressive. Again, same thing, basically no EQ on all of that stuff. It's like there's barely like any EQ, but like OTT and overdrive actually in this scenario, they do the job for me. It's like I didn't really need to do that much because they've already like taken out so much out of the actual sound that like it kind of felt like it was not necessary. Well, the only difference for this sound, the kickstart, is like actually goes after overdrive and glue compressor, because like it's pretty loud. The last layer that we have here, just OTT and glue compressor, same thing. Rinse and repeat. And I know it might look like it's a lot of chords, a lot of layers, and a lot of sounds, but as long as it works for your ear, that's the most important stuff. Like you can do it with the one layer, you can do it with the 7 layers. It really depends like what actually works for you. That's what you really should focus on. Like as long as it works for you and you feel like the mix is good and there's like not too much stuff going on and you're happy with the result, that's what you should really focus on. Not being braggy about like, oh shit, like I have too many things in my project. I don't think it's necessarily the right approach in most instances. It's definitely like it can be a creative flow killer. If you can do that with one layer, well, you're an amazing producer. If you can do it with 7 layers, it doesn't make you a worse producer. It's just different type of approach. And yeah, that's mostly all of the instruments that I have in the track. So, well, and then everything goes into a synth bus. And that's where the thing's getting a little bit more complicated, and that's where I probably done most of the EQ. So let me navigate for that really quickly, turn off everything, and let's just listen to just a synth bus on its own. So the first thing that we have here is the track spacer. Obviously gets the, you know, it's ducking for kick. Where's my kick? Yeah, big duck. Then it's actually ducking towards the vocals. Yeah, because I didn't want you know, the chords interfere with the vocals too much. So So what I was doing here is basically, I picked the range of the frequencies, which was between kind of like 250 and 6 kilohertz, just to make sure it was like in that range. All the chords, all the chords that I have, they would like duct whenever the vocal hits, because I really wanna make sure it's like the vocal shines through the mix, and that was the entire point of using track spacer here. Then it goes into API just to glue everything together, because again, it's like I think it's like API does most of the heavy lifting here, because it's actually like there's a lot of things to be glued. So yeah. I just love API for this reason, because it's, it takes all of your mess that you created and kind of like box it a little bit, make it like very nice and, more subtle than it's just going all over the place. Then everything goes into Saturn clean tube, a little bit of a drive, like very, very subtle. Just kind of like get it like another level of another layer of glue. Pro Q, big cut on 100 hertz, and then it's deepen on a kind of like muddy part. It's like more like low mids that I didn't want to have like in the chords. Then we have more EQ. Which is a little bit more surgical this time. It's just this note. I hated it. It's like, it's your ear. Then everything goes into real life. That's where you can actually hear how real life works. It's pushing lows and highs. In the meantime, it takes out all the muddy mids. It's amazing. I mean, to my ears, huge difference. Yeah, then everything goes into Oxford Inflator. It actually works in very, very aggressive settings, but I just decided why not. Reverb, where I'm pretty sure there's automation. Yeah, it's just basic automation before the drops. Then auto filter, high pass and a low pass. Then we have a little bit more EQ. Yeah, I just get out like just this disturbing frequencies that I didn't want in there. Okay, and the utility. Well, that's an interesting one, because it does a pretty cool trick that I kind of like to use lately. Like I use it a lot. I'm automating the width of the track of the bus because the synths are so full and they have so much, so much frequencies on sides that I just decided to kind of like kill the width before the breakdown, before the drop. So it creates a little bit more tension and more room for track to build up. It's like if I turn it off, if I turn it off. I know it makes dramatic difference to my ears. Okay, moving next. Kick. Simple thing. Just simple sample kick from excellent guys. Check out their YouTube. Those guys are amazing, and I'm pretty sure it's like most of the serum that I use here, it's presets from their library. Goes into Pool Tech. Yeah, just a massive boost, like for some reason 30 hertz. I think it's like the reason why I'm doing that, because I didn't want that to get in the face of sub bass. Like, because I usually, it's like if I'm using the Pool Tech and I'm trying to boost the, you know, the low punch for the kick, I would go for 60 hertz for sure. This is usually how it starts, but eventually I turned it down to 30, and I'm pretty sure there was a reason for that, or not me being sloppy. Maybe both things, who knows? Okay, the drum bus. Well, it's not that complicated, I believe. Clap with a bunch of the reverb in it, automated, create the tension. Then we have a bit of a snare going on. Then we have this drum fill. Sounds amazing on its own, but with everything on, it kind of sounds better to my ear. That's our break. Now let's go to pretty sure this is 78910.com, guys. They have amazing video tutorials. I'm a big fan. I learned a lot from those guys, because a lot of my friends actually doing the courses for them. Like Shopov is doing the courses for them. Dennis Koyu, DAW Vision guys. Definitely, if you want to learn the new DAW and you want to like learn something new and specific, and you know the basics and advanced mechanics, like definitely a place to check out. So bunch of the fills, like really no processing on those things because it's already been processed, because the things like this is DAW Vision. Very cool fills. I mean, I personally love DAW Vision music, and when I was looking for, you know, a certain type of the drum fills, and I didn't want to waste time with it, I just knew where to look. A little snare roll here. Just a little piece of that incredible drum fill that you heard before. Okay, this is mostly fills. Then we go into a bunch of the Oliver samples. Nothing crazy in terms of processing. Just taking out some transients on attack, so it's not as like clicky, and then is actually it does get sidechained by the kick, because I really, like for this track, I really didn't want anything to be on the way of the kick, because like I really wanted the kick to like punch through the entire mix, like in a very aggressive manner. Yeah, same thing goes here. It's like it's ducking pretty aggressively, and then we have a bit of a wave shaper from Melda. Yeah, just to, you know, just to get this transients a little bit more brighter. It's like, it's funny because for the first drum loop, I'm taking out the transients, but I'm bringing those back in a second loop. Yeah, just the drum loops that I kind of like more of a filler, just to create, you know, a little bit more movement for the second part of the drop. Literally like no processing in those whatsoever. I mean, there was supposed to be transient master here, but for some reason it didn't It doesn't work in my project, maybe because I updated the native instruments plugins. And that one is no go. Yeah, the same thing here. Just the 6 synth hats, a bit of a duck in for the kick. And then we'll go to second break. Well, the drums here are definitely more interesting. It's kind of breakbeat. I didn't want to replicate exactly the same formula as I did with Save Me Tonight, not with the same sounds, but kind of turned out to be almost the same, but it kind of has a little bit different flavor to it, in my opinion. But the first sound that we have here is this, again, a bit of a drum bus that's actually pushing, you know, it kind of like works also as upward compression pretty aggressively, because like it pushes all of the low level low volume elements like really like right into your face. A bit of the automation on an auto filter and a bunch of the EQ, just getting out of like all unnecessary lows that it didn't want to have there. And this guy, yeah, just very simple EQ. Just get out of the, you know, sound like all the frequencies that didn't really want to have there. Yeah, to make it more of a lo-fi feeling, kind of. That's pretty much it for the drums. Yeah, that's how it sounds in a second breakdown. Actually, this clap has one of my favorite reverbs that I used to use a lot back in the day, EOS 2. I just love the tone of this plugin. I love it so much, and I used to have this plugin on every single project that I did between 2014 and 2018, I think. It's very cool sound and reverb. Yeah, a bit of a shakers that I only use for the second breakdown. Yeah, just a bunch of the automation. I think it's like I suppose like I wanted to use it in a drop, and that's the reason why I have a compressor, because like it's clearly it's getting the trigger from the kick, but I decided not to. It just did it. It did a job for the you know, just to be in a breakdown as the rhythmic tool. And just another kind of more of a like breakbeat type of drum loop, but less, that has like the breakbeat rhythmic. So yeah, just simple EQ, cutting out all the lows, and that's pretty much it for the drums. Let's listen to it all together. There goes the drums. Let's go for the drum bass, for the drum bus really quickly. For some reason I keep saying, I keep calling the bus as a bass, like, which is clearly a mistake. Drum bus. My bad. Sorry. Bad English here. Parental advisory. What we have here? Well, as I mentioned to you before, my entire goal, especially with the drums and the kick, is just to make sure that the kick actually punches through all of the drums. It doesn't care if there's a clap or a snare in a ways, like, or the hats, like it just needs to punch through. And yeah, if we listen those things together, you see there's like a lot of things like on a wave of a kick. Now with the track spacer, actually it helps like kick shine through the mix for sure. Then we have API, just to glue everything together. My bad. Then everything goes into the inflator, just to get all of this amazing harmonics and distortion in you know, in old-fashioned analog fashion. And then Saturn, just to glue, you know, whatever the new harmonics are presented by inflator, just to make sure like it's everything is glued back together and nothing kind of like, and your drums are not falling apart. The same trick I'm pretty sure I did with, okay, solve that stuff. I'm pretty sure I did the same trick with the width for the second break, yeah. Which again makes a pretty dramatic difference to me. And effects is, there's really like no crazy point to go through them. A part of the one thing that again is like, there's a track space on an entire fixed bus that's just ducking whenever the kick hits. Here goes the mastering chain. And this mastering chain is a little bit complicated. So what we have here, first of all, we have the Renaissance equalizer, just to kind of cut out of all of the, you know, all of the lows behind like 26 Hertz. Then we have the EQ, basically killing all the sides on a 90 Hertz. Then a little deep on the muds. Then it goes into UED Neve. Let me turn off everything, by the way, and just do plugin by plugin. Just an amazing channel strip, amazing compressor. It's like Neve is outstanding. Like whenever you have a chance, whenever you have a, you know, money to spend for universal audio plugins, like Neve is definitely one of those that you want to purchase. Then it goes into Shadow Hills compressor, again UAD. It's basically what does most of the heavy lifting for the master. Then it goes into Vertigo, VSM by UAD. More complicated is like that was a surgical EQ. Yeah, just like all the resonance frequencies, like frequencies that I really didn't like when I was listening to them, especially this one, and especially this one. Yeah, that's what it does. And a bit of a boost on the very, very low end. Kind of can hear it through the headphones, which is pretty incredible. Okay. Then it goes into Oxford Inflator. Then it goes into Golfus. And if you're not familiar with this plugin, basically what it does, it's very similar to Soothe, but just a little bit different. Basically, it, you know, tames all the frequencies that the plugin doesn't like and recover all the frequencies that the plugin thinks are not there. So, yeah, but only in case of this track, I'm only taming the frequencies. I'm not bringing any frequencies back with a recover function, but I do have like 10% on Brighten, because I think it's like the brighten up function on Golfus works extremely well. Then everything goes into Ozone Maximizer. Then we have Low End Focus. Pretty sure just to kind of like stabilize the lows, making sure there's like they sit tied it nicely together. I'm talking about the kick and the sub bass. More EQ. Yeah, that I don't want to be in mix. Neither that. Neither that. Neither that. And honestly, usually it's like you want to get it done in your, you know, in your mix chain, but since I knew that I'm gonna master this tracks, like I just decided to go ahead with it and do it myself in a master chain, because I knew exactly what I need to cut out. And the last thing that it goes into, it's an invisible limiter, and it works into clip mode. Yeah, so that's that. That's the master chain for Where Have You Been. Hope you enjoyed this time. Again, thank you so much on all the love that you gave towards Where Have You Been. I really appreciate it. I love you all. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.